is Mendel's genotypic ratio. Now, how do you write it actually? It is written as 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 4. What does that become? Yellow round. Is to 1 is to 2. What does that become? Yellow wrinkled. Is to 1 is to 2. What does that become? Green round. Is to 1. What does this become? Green wrinkled. So 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 4 yellow round. Is to 1 is to 2 are yellow wrinkled. Is to 1 is to 2 are green round. Is to 1 is green wrinkled. So what does Mendel's dihybrid phenotypic ratio become? 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. And what is Mendel's dihybrid genotypic ratio? 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 4. Is to 1 is to 2. Is to 1 is to 2 is to 1. So what is Mendel's monohybrid, rather dihybrid phenotypic ratio? 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. What is Mendel's dihybrid genotypic ratio? 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 4. Is to 1 is to 2. Is to 1 is to 2 is to 1. So this is Mendel's dihybrid cross, and we got a monohybrid ratio, a dihybrid ratio, and we ended with that Mendel's monohybrid ratio was phenotypically 3 is to 1, genotypically 1 is to 2 is to 1. Mendel's dihybrid phenotypic ratio 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. Mendel's dihybrid genotypic ratio 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 4 is to 1 is to 2 is to 1 is to 2 is to 1. We'll just take a small break over here and I'll be resuming back. Please read this part carefully. Right. Now, depending on this dihybrid ratio, Mendel gave his third law, which is law of independent assortment, or the third law of inheritance. Carefully, what does it state? When two homozygous parents differing in two pairs of contrasting traits are crossed, the inheritance of one pair is independent of the other pair. When two homozygous parents, yellow round, green wrinkled, differing in two pairs of contrasting traits are crossed, the inheritance of one pair is independent of the other. So one pair will inherit independently of the other. What do you mean by that? When a dihybrid forms gametes, assortment or distribution of alleles of different traits is independent of the original combination in the parents. Now, check this here. Sir, what was the original combination in the parents, sir? Capital Y, capital Y, capital R for yellow round, and small y, small y, small r for green wrinkled. F1 generation we got capital Y, small y, capital R, small r. But in the F2 generation, we got capital Y, small r, and small y, capital R. So original combination कौन सा आया था? Capital Y and capital R. and small y and small r. But when they came together, F1 generation became capital Y, small y, capital R, small r. What happened in the F2 generation? You got capital Y, small r, which became yellow wrinkled, and you got small y, capital R, which became green and round. So parental combination क्या था? Yellow round, green wrinkled. नया combination क्या मिला? Yellow wrinkled, green round. So what is that explains? That explains something called as Mendel's third law of independent assortment, that when two homozygous parents differing in two pairs of contrasting traits are crossed, inheritance of one pair is independent of the other pair. So inheritance of one pair was completely independent of the other pair. Yellow and round have now become independent to become yellow and wrinkled. So that is a different characteristic formed altogether. And also it says that when a dihybrid forms gametes, assortment or distribution of alleles of different traits is independent of the original combination in the parent. Parental combination was what, sir? Yellow round, green wrinkled. Now, how have they assorted, sir? Yellow wrinkled and green round. So, yellow round, green wrinkled has now become yellow wrinkled and green round, which means assortment is taken independently of the original combination in the parent. Original was what? Yellow round and green wrinkled. New assortment क्या हुआ है? Yellow wrinkled and green round. What is this phenomenon called as law of independent assortment taking place? So, this was beautifully explained by Mendel, and Mendel then gave a nice logic. If you remember, he was very good in mathematics. He had graduated in his university in mathematics, so he gave the principle of probability statistics. And what was his principle of probability statistics? Probability of two independent events occurring simultaneously is the product of their individual probabilities. Once again, probability of two independent events occurring simultaneously is the product of their individual probabilities, which means a dihybrid ratio is the product of two monohybrid ratios. Now, if we had taken yellow round and green wrinkled, suppose we had started with only yellow and green. तो only yellow and green का F2 generation का monohybrid ratio क्या आता था? 3:1. And if it was round and wrinkled, only round and wrinkled, if you would have selected, what would have that monohybrid ratio again become in the F2 generation? 3:1. So yellow and green and round and wrinkled independently in a monohybrid ratio, we get 3:1. But when both are considered simultaneously in not a monohybrid but in a dihybrid ratio, then the dihybrid ratio is the product of the monohybrid ratios. So 3:1 into 3:1 becomes 3 3s are 9. Into 1:3 is 3, into 3:1 is 3, into 1:1 is 1. So, sir, 3:1 into 3:1 becomes 9:3:3:1, which becomes a dihybrid phenotypic ratio. As a matter of fact, if we do dihybrid genotypic ratio, 1:2:1 into 1:2:1. So what will that become? This will become 1:2:1. This will become 2:4:2. This will again become 1:2:1. So that is equivalent to 1:2:2:4:1:2 1, which is what we had said is Mendel's dihybrid genotypic ratio. So everything is based on probability statistics, and Mendel beautifully explained this on the basis of probability statistics. So now if we consider, Mendel had done a trihybrid cross, and in a trihybrid cross, suppose he takes 3 pairs of contrasting characters and mixes 3 pairs of contrasting characters, and he gets the F1 generation, and in the F2 generation, what will be the phenotypic ratio he will get? So, if we use probability statistics, that will be 3:1 into 3:1 into 3:1, which is same as this and this, 9:3:3:1 into 3:1, which will become 9 into 3 becomes 27 is to 9 is to 9 is to 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. So that will become 27 is to 9 is to 9 is to 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. This will become Mendel's trihybrid phenotypic ratio. So, what is Mendel's monohybrid phenotypic ratio? 3:1. What is Mendel's dihybrid phenotypic ratio? 9:3:3:1. And what is Mendel's trihybrid phenotypic ratio? 27:9:9:9 is to 3:3:3:1. So this becomes Mendel's monohybrid, dihybrid and trihybrid phenotypic ratios, which we have analyzed over here. So this was Mendel's beautiful work, and Mendel then concluded everything with the help of a beautiful cross, which is now called as a test cross. Now what is a test cross, or also called as a back cross? Sir, if we take a tall plant and a dwarf plant, pure breed, homozygous, that's parent, F1 generation will become tall, will become hybrid tall. Now when F1 is self-pollinated to produce F2 generation, we will get 3 tall and 1 dwarf. So the phenotypic ratio is 3:1. Now, dwarf plant is always homozygous, small t, but the tall plant can be either homozygous or heterozygous. If it is homozygous, it is capital T, capital T. If it is heterozygous, it is capital T, small t. Now, we can say phenotypically they are tall, both of them are tall. Now, genotypically, is that a pure tall or a hybrid tall? Is it homozygous or it is heterozygous? How can we know that? We can only see the phenotype. We cannot know the genotype. So, mind my words here, to know the unknown genotype of the F2 generation plant, Mendel crossed that plant back with the recessive plant. You cross the unknown F2 generation plant with the recessive parent plant. That is called as a test cross or a back cross. So, what will be the ratios that you will get out of it? Observe this carefully. Sir, we have a unknown genotype. Suppose we consider color of flower. So you have red color and white color. Red and white when brought together, F1 generation will show red. F2 generation will show 3 red and 1 white. Now, of the 3 reds, check this carefully. So you will have either the red as capital R, or the red could be capital R, small r. Now, phenotypically both are red. Genotypically it could be pure breed or hybrid breed. It could be homozygous, capital R, or heterozygous, capital R, small r. So how do you know whether it is capital R or capital R small r, you cross it with the recessive parent. So what is the recessive parent? White. And white में both are small r, and समझो it is capital R, तो कौन से gametes बनेंगे? capital R, and समझो it is hybrid, तो कौन से gametes बनेंगे? capital R, small r. Now capital R crossed with the recessive small r, what will be the Punnett square or checkerboard method showing? It will become capital R small r, capital R small r, capital R small r, capital R small r. So all the plants in the next generation are hybrid reds. If they are hybrid reds, which means all of them are red in color, so this plant is pure breed or homozygous capital R. So that means it is pure breed, that is homozygous capital R. Suppose it was capital R small r, then capital R small r crossed with small r, which is recessive plant, you will get capital R small r, that is hybrid red, and you will get small r and small r, that is white. So what is the F2 ratio you got, or the next generation ratio you got? 2 reds and 2 whites. Focus here, if it was capital R, if it is back crossed with small r, recessive parent, all the next generation plants are red in color. But if it was capital R small r, and if it is back crossed or test crossed with the recessive parent, then you get 2 reds and 2 whites. So you get a red and white ratio of 2:2. In other words, 1:1. So suppose you get a ratio of 2:2 or 1:1, then that means it is a heterozygous plant. If it is all red or all dominant character, then that is a homozygous plant. So sir, what is this cross called as? A test cross or a back cross in which the unknown genotype, capital R or capital R small r, is back crossed with the recessive parent, and on crossing it with recessive parent, if we get all dominant characters, then it is homozygous. And if it is back crossed with recessive parent and you get a ratio of 2 reds and 2 whites, 2 dominant and 2 recessive, then that ratio of 2:2 or 1:1 proves that the plant is a hybrid. In other words, it's a heterozygous plant. So what is this phenomenon called as a test cross or a back cross? And this was Mendel's final work. All this work was published by Mendel, but it got unrecognized, and later on, as we remember last lecture, Sharma, Gordon had put in their effort, and so they got together Mendel's work, and it got published in the book called Flora, and Mendel was then rightly knighted as the father of genetics. So this is what was Mendel's work: monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, trihybrid cross. This was Mendel's work. He gave the first law of dominance. He gave the second law of segregation and purity of gametes. He gave the third law of independent assortment. And third, along with it, he gave the test cross, and this was Mendel's work, which today we know as Mendelism. This is what we analyzed today. Next session, we will go into post-Mendel, what new laws were created and how new laws came into existence post-Mendel, which is called as post-Mendelian genetics, also called as neo-Mendelian genetics. So we will analyze that in the next session. Please study this part very carefully. You will have first a tutorial in the beginning of the lecture, and first you'll write the tutorial back home, then we'll start with the lecture. So I'll see you next week, all of you. Please study hard. Take this time of crisis into your control. Don't waste your time. Keep on remaining focused and keep on studying, guys. Take care. God bless you.